And welcome and good morning to Mike Ferry TV. It is the week of October 5th, or for us at the Mike Ferry Organization, Superstar Week in Hollywood, Florida. I hope you're going to be there. And if you are there, we're going to have a lot of fun. I think you'll enjoy it a lot, meet some great people, and you got a great speaker right in front of you, so it'll be a lot of fun. I had a very interesting, probably I guess would say discussion, take place about 10 days ago. We had a person walk up to me while we're doing our tour. And it was somebody I've known a long time, so it's somebody that I had a lot of respect for. And he said to me, so what have you learned the most during your tour in May, June, August, September? Now, I want you to understand, in May, June, I do 64 three-hour seminars. In better half of August and September, I do 44. So we're talking about, 100-plus seminars. And it's so much fun for Sabrina and I because we learn a lot. We learn a lot about our great brokers, about our great agent customers, about our coaching clients. So when he said to me, what have you learned? I started writing thoughts down as soon as he said that. I want to share with you today as we start the fourth quarter, October, November, December, is going to be the best 3 months of your life if you pay attention. And I thought it'd be good to take a look at what are some of the things that Mike Ferry is learning since he's spending all his time trying to help you learn at the same time. So there's 5 things I've written down for the low producers. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things I've written down from really good, solid producers like many of you are that I've learned during these 2 tours in 2015. So first, on the low producers, what I've learned is no matter what we say, no matter how hard we try, we can't get the majority of the low producers to set any kind of production goal. We can't get them to sit down and say, I want to do 10 deals this year. I want to take 5 listings and have 5 listings sell. We just can't get them to set a goal. We can't get them to put the carrot out in front of them so they can run faster towards that carrot. We can't get them to set any kind of goals, financial, personal, business. If you're not setting goals, guess what? Okay, get in a sailboat, and I want you to go 30 miles offshore, Atlantic or Pacific Ocean, in a nice 30-knot wind, and have your rudder fall off. You have no idea where you're going to land or if you ever land again. Well, that's most people that don't set any goals. Second thing I've learned is most agents simply don't believe in themselves. And now here's the rule. If you don't believe in yourself, the vote is 100% unanimous. If you don't believe in you, who does? I mean, you walk into a house and the average producer and the seller says, can you get my home sold? Well, I'll try. I'll do the best I can. I work real hard. Watch, slap yourself up the side of the head. You've got to believe in yourself. How do you learn to believe in yourself? You got to learn how to sell. The third thing I wrote down, they don't know how to sell and they won't learn. Isn't it fascinating? You know, we do, 35 or 40 4-day large events a year someplace in the U.S. And they're all based on sales skills, sales techniques. We can't get most real estate people to attend. Hey, Mike, I went to your Superstar Retreat in 1997, so I don't need to go back again. Excuse me. Okay, we're talking about, 18 years ago? And you actually remember what I said? I'll give you an example. When I did the very first Superstar Retreat, now which has been now 28, I think it's 28 years ago to be exact. I did the retreat, and a lady sat some in the front, nice gal from Chicago. And she was, very enthusiastic, took notes, was participating. Well, I asked her if she was coming back the next year. She said, I think I will. So the next year, I'm in the room early, and the retreats were very small then. We only had a couple hundred people. And this lady walks in. I remembered her from the year before, and I said, I'm glad you're back. And she looked at me and she said, now, are you going to tell us the same stuff this year you said last year? I said, gosh, ma'am, I apologize. I don't remember what I talked about last year. Do you? Well, not really. Then what difference does it make what I talk about this year? Shut up and sit down. But see, that's the mentality of agents. And why does that mentality take place? Because we're independent contractors. If you don't know how to sell, how do you do your job? Imagine going to a doctor that would tell you, I really don't know how to do any stitching up of this cut you have, but let's take a sewing machine and see what happens. A pilot that doesn't know how to fly a plane, an attorney that's never ever represented a client in court, you'd run like heck. I wrote down number 4. This is a tough one. I talk about it all the time. The low producers, I've learned, always take the path of least resistance. There's 2 paths to take in life. The path that leads you to someplace exciting, productive, and profitable, or the path of least resistance. Why do you work with buyers? Because it's easier than working with sellers. Why do you work on your file, your deal? It's easier than having to prospect. Okay? Why are you on Facebook? Because it's easier than calling your leads and trying to set appointments. Human nature says we take the path of least resistance. We walk into the house and the seller looks at you and says, what is your commission? Instead of saying 6%, period, we say, well, how much do you want to pay? The path of least resistance. Okay? We all do it. But if you can eliminate that type of thinking from your business and your life, I've learned that your production goes up. And then the fifth thing I've learned about the low producers, they just think too small. We started these Think Big groups. Now it's probably been a good solid 3 years or so ago. And many, I think we have 150 people in the Think Big groups today. And many of them really do think at real high terms, not only personally and professionally, but in terms of production. You know, they've changed how they think about who they are and what they do. Are you willing to change your thinking? Willing to take a risk? Get outside your comfort zone? Think outside the box? Do something a little bit different to escalate your personal life and your business? Or, and I hate to say this, but I met this man that I got to play golf with several times, and every August, the first 7 days, he and his wife take a vacation to a little resort. And every year they stay in the same little resort room. And they do the same thing every day during that 7-day vacation. Well, I said, well, how long have you been doing this? For 20 years. What? There's other resorts, other places to go, other things to do. No, that's what we do. Things too small. Won't get out of their box. Won't get out of their comfort zone. So, watch. The low producers I've learned, they don't set goals. They don't believe in themselves. They don't know how to sell. You got to know how to sell real estate. They take the path of least resistance, and they think too small. Well, the other side of that, of course, is what about the top producers? What have I learned about them during these 2 tours during May, June, and July, August, September? Well, I think the first thing I've learned is that almost all the top producers, and you hate to hear this, you probably want to turn it off when I say it, they all have a coach. They have somebody guiding, teaching, showing, helping, assisting, holding them accountable to what they're trying to accomplish. They all do. And it doesn't matter what the business or profession is. Watch, the successful people have a coach. Now watch this. They don't think the team is the answer to all their problems. What are we talking about today? Oh, you got to have a big team. You got to have 3, 5, 10, 15, sub-agents, showing agents working for you. You got to have 4 or 5 assistants. Wait a minute. I've analyzed this inside out, upside down, backwards and forwards. When you have a big team, basically you just own a real estate brokerage. You have your own company. Well, I'm working under this particular company. Well, you still have your own company. You have a whole team. The highest quality of profit, the highest amount of profit comes from an agent, you, going out and maximizing your listing skills and maximizing the listings you take. If you want to make a lot of money, it isn't through a team, because most people are not managers, they're not leaders, therefore they spend all their time managing and leading their team, and they quit producing, and then they pay them too much to keep them because retention's a problem, and then your margins get too small, but you can brag to the world that you have a big team, and you can brag to the world how many deals you're doing, but you're not making the money. The top producers have figured that out. They know the difference. The third thing I wrote down is the top producers really do have to work, we all do, every day on maintaining a positive mindset. Because the truth is, we live in a very negative world, and it's been this way since the beginning of humanity. We live in a negative world, period. When's the last time you picked up the newspaper and saw some good news? You don't see it. When's the last time you picked up and turned on the news and saw some good news? A couple of weeks ago, doing an event here in Florida. And the broker invited a local reporter, sharp-looking young guy. We chatted for probably 10, 15 minutes. Pretty positive young man. He said, you mind if I sit in? I said, of course not. Well, he's taking notes. Well, he writes an article the next day. I don't know where he got his information from, because most of it he just made up. He said things that I didn't even say. But it was all negative, nasty crap. Well, what's the point of that? And then I said to Sabrina, well, they always do that. Because they're not going to sell newspapers that have good news. Everybody wants to hear the dirty, the skinny, the underside. What's the bad news? Well, that's what this guy did. He took a seminar we do, and it was a 3-hour seminar. I mean, we had 100 people in the room. We sold like 60 of them a Superstar Retreat ticket. These people were excited about this event, what we did and what we were saying, and he made it into a negative Nelly. Well, watch. Strong, good producers, I've learned, always work daily on maintaining a positive mindset. Now, you'll love the next one. They're always working on their skills. It's become so crystal clear over the last 6 months how much time the good people are perfecting the skills. Because, see, you perfect your skill that much, and you get that much result. That's what's interesting. You don't have to do a complete transformation from A to Z, just level of efficiency up a notch, a little bit stronger in your voice, asking a couple more additional questions, learning to answer the objection a little more clearly and crisply if it's a word, better than you have in the past. And guess what happens? You end up making a lot more money. They're always working on their skills. The next thing I've learned, they really follow a schedule. The good producers are fanatical on their schedule. I'll say to agents all the time, what's your schedule like today? Oh, it's wide open. Anything planned? Oh, now, whatever comes up, comes up. What if nothing comes up? Yeah, it's kind of my normal day. Well, now, isn't that a high level of productivity? What an inspiration that is. Gee, try to show everybody else how to do what you did. If you have a schedule that you follow, and granted, you may only follow it, 75% of the time? But 75% of 10 hours is 7 hours plus of high-level productivity that the average agent's doing maybe 10 minutes of productivity in 10 hours. And number 6, and this is the one that's really important, I've learned that all the top producers don't think of themselves as independent contractors. They've gotten over that nonsense. Well, I'm an independent contractor. I can do what I want. Well, see, that doesn't even make sense. Because, see, how do you have guidelines? How do you have standards? How are you accepting coaching? How do you go to training if you're thinking you don't need anything that's being said? I did kind of a fun close during the tour, and I did the last of these 110 or so tour events a couple days ago in Naples, Florida. Had a great group that I was working with called MVP Realty, and it was really a lot of fun because the last thing I said to the group was this. I believe that every one of you should be at our Superstar Retreat this week in Hollywood/Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I also understand that very few people will be there. We'll have 2,500. Now, somebody will say, 2,500 is a lot of people. Well, we get 4,500 in Vegas. Our East Coast retreat is always 50% less. Why? Well, some of the egos of agents are pretty large. Or the agent says to themselves, I already know all this stuff. Or what's worse, they don't know anything and they don't want to interrupt that pattern. Or they don't know that they don't know. Well, you got to really take a look at yourself and say, what do I have to do to go to the next level? I had a great discussion a week and a half ago with Mike Dart, a great agent out of Cape Coral, Florida. Many of you have met Mike. True superstar in the industry. And certainly one of the most productive agents in the state of Florida. And our discussion at dinner, which was so great, how do I go to the next level? What do I have to say? What do I have to do? How should I think? Well, see, top producers are not allowing themselves to be caught in that web of independent contractor that keeps them from going to the next level. So what I've learned about top producers, they have a coach. Do you have one? Checking on that one. Don't think that a team is the answer to all their problems, because it's not the answer. They really work on that positive mindset. They're continually perfecting a little bit their skills. They follow a schedule, and they don't think like independent contractors. Hey, listen, the fourth quarter, now, today, October, November, December, is going to be great if you choose to make it great. We have tens of thousands of agents nationwide, U.S. and Canada, that are making the fourth quarter the best 3 months of their life. Why don't you join them? We'll talk to you next week.